The Greek Myths by Robert Graves. Chapter 11. The Birth of Aphrodite. Aphrodite, goddess of desire, rose naked from the foam of the sea, and riding on a scallop shell, stepped ashore first on the island of Cythera. But finding this only a small island, passed on to the Peloponnese, and eventually took up residence at Paphos in Cyprus, still the principal seat of her worship. Grass and flowers sprang from the soil wherever she trod. At Paphos the seasons, daughters of Themis, hastened to clothe and adorn her. Some hold that she sprang from the foam which gathered about the genitals of Uranus, when Cronus threw them into the sea. Others that Zeus begot her on Dione, daughter either of Oceanus and Tethys, the sea nymph, or of air and earth. But all agree that she takes the air accompanied by doves and sparrows. Chapter 12. Hera and her children. Hera, daughter of Cronus and Rhea, having been born on the island of Samos, or some say at Argos, was brought up in Arcadia by Temennius, son of Pelagius. The seasons were her nurses. After brandishing their father Cronus, Hera's twin brother Zeus sought her out at Knossos in Crete, or some say on Mount Thornax, now called Cuckoo Mountain, and Argolis, where he courted her, at first unsuccessfully. She took pity on him only when he adopted the disguise of a bedraggled cuckoo, and tenderly warmed him in her bosom. There he had once resumed his true shape and ravished her, so that he was shamed into marrying her. All the gods brought gifts to the wedding. Notably, Mother Earth gave Hera a tree with golden apples, which was later guarded by the Hesperides in Hera's orchard on Mount Atlas. She and Zeus spent their wedding night on Samos, and it lasted 300 years. Hera bathes regularly in the spring of Canathus, near Argos, and thus renews her virginity. To Hera and Zeus were born the deities Ares, Hephaestus, and Hebe. Although some say that Ares and his twin sister Eris were conceived when Hera touched a certain flower, and Hebe when she touched a lettuce, and that Hephaestus also was her Parthenius child, a wonder which he would not believe until he had imprisoned her in a mechanical chair with arms that folded about the sitter, thus forcing her to swear by the river Styx that she did not lie. Others say that Hephaestus was her son by Talos, the nephew of Daedalus. Chapter 13. Zeus and Hera. Only Zeus, the father of heaven, might wield the thunderbolt, and it was with the threat of its fatal flash that he controlled his quarrelsome and rebellious family of Mount Olympus. He also ordered the heavenly bodies, made laws, enforced oaths, and pronounced oracles. When his mother Rhea, foreseeing what trouble his lust would cause, forbade him to marry, he angrily threatened to violate her. Though she had once turned into a menacing serpent, this did not daunt Zeus, who became a male serpent, and twining about her in an indissoluble knot, made good his threat. It was then that he began his long series of adventures in love. He fathered the seasons of the three fates on Themis, the charities on Eurynomé, the three muses on Nesemene, with whom he lay for 9 nights, and some say Persephone, the queen of the underworld, whom his brother Hades forcibly married, on the nymph Styx. Thus he lacked no power either above or below earth, and his wife Hera was equal to him in one thing alone, that she could still bestow the gift of prophecy on any man or beast she pleased. Zeus and Hera bickered constantly. Vexed by his infidelities, she often humiliated him by her scheming ways. Though he would confide his secrets to her, and sometimes accept her advice, he never fully trusted Hera, and she knew that if offended beyond a certain point he would fog or even hurl a thunderbolt at her. She therefore resorted to ruthless intrigue, as in the matter of Heracles' birth, and sometimes borrowed Aphrodite's girdle to excite his passion and thus weaken his will. He now claimed to be Cronus' firstborn son. A time came when Zeus's pride and petulance became so intolerable that Hera, Poseidon, Apollo, and all the other Olympians except Hestia surrounded him suddenly as he lay asleep on his couch, and bound him with rawhide thongs knotted with 100 knots so that he could not move. He threatened them with instant death. But they had placed his thunderbolts out of reach, and laughed insultingly at him. While they were celebrating their victory, and jealously discussing who was to be his successor, Thetis the Nereid, foreseeing a civil war on Olympus, hurried in search of the 100-armed Briareus, who swiftly untied the thongs, using every hand at once, and released his master. Because it was Hera who had led the conspiracy against him, Zeus hung her up from the sky with a golden bracelet about either wrist and an anvil fastened to either ankle. The other deities were vexed beyond words, but dared attempt no rescue for all her piteous cries. In the end, Zeus undertook to free her if they swore never more to rebel against him, and this each in turn grudgingly did. Zeus punished Poseidon and Apollo by sending them as bondservants to King Laomedon, for whom they built the city of Troy, but he pardoned the others as having acted under duress. Chapter 14. Births of Hermes, Apollo, Artemis, and Dionysus. Amorous Zeus lay with numerous nymphs descended from the Titans or the gods after the creation of man, with mortal women too. No less than 4 great Olympian deities were born to him out of wedlock. First he begat Hermes on Maia, daughter of Atlas, who bore him in a cave on Mount Cyllene in Arcadia. Next he begat Apollo and Artemis on Leto, daughter of the Titans Ceus and Phoebe, transforming himself in her into quails when they coupled. But jealous Hera sent the serpent Python to pursue Leto all over the world, and decreed that she should not be delivered in any place where the sun shone. Carried on the wings of the south wind, Leto at last came to Ortygia, close to Delos, where she bore Artemis, who was no sooner born than she helped her mother across the narrow straits, and there, between an olive tree and a date palm growing on the north side of Delian Mount, Cynthus delivered her of Apollo on the 9th day of labor. Delos, hitherto a floating island, became immovably fixed in the sea, and by decree no one is now allowed either to be born or to die there. Sick folk and pregnant women are ferried over to Ortygia instead. The mother of Zeus's son Dionysus is variously named. Some say that she was Demeter or Io. Some name her Dione, some Persephone, with whom Zeus coupled in the likeness of a serpent, and some Lethe. But the common story runs as follows. Zeus, disguised as a mortal, had a secret love affair with Semele, the moon, daughter of King Cadmus of Thebes, and jealous Hera, disguising herself as an old neighbor, advised Semele, then already 6 months with child, to make her mysterious lover a request, that he would no longer deceive her, but reveal himself in his true nature and form. How, otherwise, could she know that she was not a monster? Semele followed this advice and, when Zeus refused her plea, denied him further access to her bed. Then, in anger, he appeared as thunder and lightning, and she was consumed. But Hermes saved her 6-month son, sewed him up inside Zeus's thigh, to mature there for 3 months longer, and in due course of time delivered him. Thus Dionysus is called twice-born, or the child of the double door. Chapter 15. The Birth of Eros. Some argue that Eros, hatched from the world egg, was the first of the gods, since, without him, none of the rest could have been born. They make him coeval with the Mother Earth and Tartarus, and deny that he had any father or mother, unless it were Eleutheria, goddess of childbirth. Others hold that he was Aphrodite's son by Hermes, or by Ares, or by her own father Zeus, or the son of Iris by the west wind. He was a wild boy, who showed no respect for age or station, but flew about on golden wings, shooting barbed arrows at random, or wantonly setting hearts on fire with his dreadful torches.